Now, obviously, the big news that we're all looking at right now is tomorrow the report is coming out from the International Atomic Energy Agency regarding Iran's nuclear program. Now, I'm going to just spill the beans for you right now. The report says unequivocally that Iran is not diverting any of the fuel for their nuclear power station to military purposes. Let me repeat that one more time because this is not something you're going to get from the TV networks. The IAEA report states quite clearly that Iran has not diverted any of their reactor fuel for weapons purposes. It has not happened. Period. End of discussion. So Shimon Peres is out there saying that an attack on Iran is increasingly likely because of their threat and blah, 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 blah. Iran is going to be able to build a nuclear bomb within months. They're trying to read things into that IAEA report that are not there. The only three things that the IAEA report has reported on that are being seized on as proof of ill intent is apparently there have been some computer simulations of nuclear explosions. There's apparently a large steel chamber used for testing small explosions. And apparently Iran has what are called Krytron switches. Now, that steel tank can be used for explosive testing that has nothing to do with nuclear weapons. In fact, Israel was putting out these space-borne pictures of this new nuclear site in Iran, which if you look at it very carefully, it looks like it's an artillery testing range. I will grant you that. But if you go into Google Earth and you grab that little timeline slider, you will see that that facility has been there since 2002. There's no new construction. There's nothing there to indicate anything nuclear. It looks like it's where they test bullets. Now, as far as the computer simulation of atomic blasts, I have one of those things on my iPhone, and it is for purely defensive purposes. If there's an atomic blast on Pearl Harbor, how much time do I have before the walls cave in up here on the top of this hill? Simulations of nuclear explosions can have a perfectly, purely defensive situation. How are we going to prepare for when Israel comes in and starts nuking us, or the United States comes in and starts nuking us? A computer simulation is not a weapon. Unless it's, one of the ClimateGate global warming carbon Nazi simulations that they're taking your money with. But you have colleges all around the world, physics departments that are doing exactly the same level of nuclear research. There's no reason to go in and start killing them. Hundreds of nations have research programs into nuclear energy and nuclear weapons. It's not a weapon. It's a theoretical study. And finally, the Krytron switches. This is one that we're seeing all over the media where they're saying, these switches are only used for nuclear detonations. Wrong. They are not. Yes, they can be used for nuclear detonation, but they weren't invented for nuclear detonation. They were adapted from other purposes. They're used in radars. They're used in those machines in hospitals that will dissolve your kidney stones with sound waves. They're used in photocopiers. They have a wide variety of industrial applications. It is simply a highly fast, high-powered electrical switch. They're used strobe lights, the big industrial strobe lights that we use on stages, for like rock concerts and stuff. Not the little tiny ones that they sell over at the Spencers, but the real big units that light up the whole stage. Those use Krytrons. It's not a rare device. And they are, in fact, used for a lot of things besides nuclear weapons. So this whole case for a war with Iran is built on a computer simulation and switches from a photocopier. And that's all they've got. They're trying to say, well, Iran has the know-how to make a bomb. Okay, everybody, pencil and paper, take notes. Take 30 kilograms of highly enriched uranium-235 in the left hand. Take another 30 kilograms of highly enriched uranium-235 in your right hand. Slap them together as fast as you can. You will get a mushroom cloud. There. Now you all have the technical know-how to build atomic bombs, which means Israel is going to order the United States to come in and kick down your door and kill all of your pets and goldfish and your family. Because you now all know the secret of a fission uranium nuclear weapon. And of course, that's meaningless, because if you don't actually have the highly enriched uranium-235, then you cannot build a bomb. And the IAEA report is going to confirm one more time that Iran is not enriching their reactor fuel for use in weapons. Period. End of discussion. We've been down this road before with Saddam's nuclear weapons that never existed. And Israel and the U.S. government and the corporate media are hoping you are all dumb enough that you're not going to remember you had this lie told to you before. And we shouldn't be listening to Israel anyway, because Israel is batting zero about clandestine nuclear weapons development. They were screaming that Iraq was building atomic bombs under their power station at Osirik before Israel bombed it. After the invasion, the IAEA went in there, took a look around, and said, you know, this was a power station and not much of anything else. Then Israel bombed a facility over in Syria. No evidence of weapons development there. Remember last week they were screaming, we found another building in Syria. It's a uranium enrichment facility because there's rows of machines and they're spinning in circles. It's a textile factory. Israel is the little boy that cried, wolf, 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 and we need to stop listening to them because American kids are dying for it. Iran is not the threat. The United States is the threat. Israel's the threat. They're constantly attacking other people on the basis of lies. So, let's see. Rick Perry is out there saying, yes, we should attack Iran for Israel. Let's see. And, says, we cannot allow that madman to put his hands on nuclear weapons. And again, they said the same thing about Saddam. And Saddam didn't have nuclear weapons, and he wasn't acquiring nuclear weapons, and he wasn't building. He was playing by the rules, and so is Iran. That's the problem. Iran has signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. They allow the IAEA inspections. They're allowed to have nuclear power. They're allowed to have medical isotopes and industrial applications for nuclear technology. They're allowed to have it. In fact, under, I think it's Article 4 of the NNPT, the United States government is obligated to be in there helping to build the nuclear power station. And if we were in there helping to weld the pipes and lay the wire and pour the foundations, we would know for a fact there's no weapons development going on there. If you want a clandestine nuclear bomb factory, we all know where it is. It's underneath Israel's reactor at Dimona. We've got photographs of it. Israel's kind of admitted it, off the record unofficially, because officially, no, we don't have nuclear reactors. That's why the American government can send more tax money over here. Because of those pesky Symington Amendment and the Glenn Act. Israel was caught trying to sell nuclear weapons to South Africa. That's the very activity the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty is intended to prevent. So Perry's out there saying, yes, whatever Israel wants. I get sick every election year of seeing all the candidates up there, except for Ron Paul, and they're campaigning on just one platform. I can bow lower to Tel Aviv than you can. I can give them more of the American people's money and the lives of our children than you can. That's the entire campaign this season. Meanwhile, Russia continues to send signals that they will not tolerate an attack on Iran. And the reason is very simple. 65% of the world's easily reachable oil is in the Mideast, and they're watching the U.S. grab one after the other after the other. And neither Russia nor China will allow themselves to be hostages to America's control of the Mideast oil. And that's why this thing is getting really serious. We're going to take a break.
Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And I want to step back here and give you kind of the overview of why things are as messed up as they are militarily around the world. And it all comes back to that dollar hegemony. This reign of the dollar since the end of World War II and the Bretton Woods Agreement, and the rise of the private central banking system over all other systems propelled by war. The reality is that the American dollar is not well regarded any longer, and countries wish to move away from it. And for the smaller countries that try and move away from it, like Iraq and Libya, the U.S. simply goes in and kills everybody. Puts in a new puppet regime who swears undying fealty to the dollar and the imposition of a private central bank on their people, loaning the public interested currency. Public currency at interest. More coffee. That's for the smaller countries. But there are a couple of big countries out there that really are starting to think about moving away from the dollar, and that's Russia and China. And obviously the United States does not wish to try and invade those countries, because they actually do have nuclear weapons. So what to do? Well, the obvious answer is that 65% of the world's easily reachable oil is in the Middle East. This is why the United States is conquering all these oil nations in the Middle East, even though there's a lot of oil here in the United States of America. And by the way, they're back down drilling there in the Gulf of Mexico, trying to reach that really deep oil. It seems to be coming from below where the fossils of the dinosaurs and everything are. But that's another topic entirely. So I think the plan was to take control of the Middle East oil and tell China and Russia, who are both dependent on that oil, because they don't have enough domestic supply, look, you go on just running your economy the way we think you ought to do it, and we'll let you have all the oil that you need. And if you dare try and go to a different economy, we'll shut off the oil valve. And I don't think Russia or China are willing to allow themselves to be put into that kind of a position of dependency or blackmail. And I think that's why the line is being drawn in the sand. And that's why the situation is so tense. The United States can't manufacture any products anymore to power the economy. All they can do is make trouble. They act like thugs. They act like Israel. Give us what we want or we'll destroy you. And sooner or later, you reach a point where the rest of the world unites together and says, look, we're tired of being pushed around. We didn't stand for it from the Nazis, and we're not going to stand for it from the Zionists. And that's why we're in such a dangerous, dangerous situation right now. And it's all about the bankers, all about the money junkies. The same people who want you to buy their products that are going to fall apart in just a couple of years so that you have to buy another one. They're the ones who want to blow up the entire world so that you'll have to borrow more money from them to sort of build back what you had before. I have a lovely house. Boom. Well, now you got to borrow money to build that house back up again. That's why we're having these world wars every 50 to 100 years. Got to scrape off the surface of the earth. We got to drive those peasants back to working and borrowing to build back what they had before. That's what keeps them productive and allows us to get rich off their labor, saith the money junkies. So Russia is sending very clear signals about attacking Iran. And meanwhile, of course, we all know that the real nuclear power in the Middle East is not Iran. It was never Iraq. It's Israel. We've had this, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more idea from the American media and the American government. But now that the documents about the sale to South Africa have surfaced, it's Israel's own official government documents. You cannot deny it. You could run around saying, oh, those pictures from Dimona, they were fake, they were movie set, they were whatever you wanted to do. But when you have official Israeli government documents saying, yeah, we're offering nuclear weapons for sale, it's kind of hard to ignore that one here. We're also learning now that apparently back in 1958, Great Britain was helping Israel get materials necessary for building atomic bombs. The same Great Britain that's out there screaming, we've got to go kill Iran. And we've got lots of British children that we can throw into the fire. Israel and the United States are constantly attacking other countries. Iran is not. It doesn't get any plainer than that. So if you can get onto these shows, just put that out there and say, and don't even sit there and say, I'm going to tell you. Just say, folks, go out and look for yourself. Look at how many countries Israel has attacked. Look at how many countries the United States has attacked. And then look at how many countries Iran has attacked since they became an Islamic Republic in 1979. Just remember that year, 1979. And, we have that article that we have at whatreallyhappened.com that basically lists it all out. And you can just see Israel's constantly attacking and killing other people. So is the United States. Iran's minding its own business. And if you keep putting that out there, I'm sensing a full court press in the media to sell this idea that Iran is now the nuclear threat that we were all told Iraq was. I don't know that they're getting the traction that they want to. I'm certainly not seeing it in the general population around me. People are hearing this thing about Iran, and you just see the rolling, oh, here we go again. The government's going to send more of our kids to get blown to bloody bits, just because Israel says so. And so I don't think they're getting the traction with it, but, their job is to try and sell it to you, and they're going to keep on, shouting, kill Iran at you as long as the paychecks get signed.